I finally got around to watching Old, and honestly, this movie is way more fun than people give it credit for. Is it weird? Absolutely. Does it have some dialogue that made me laugh for the wrong reasons? Also, yes. But I was never bored, and these days that's worth a lot. Before I get into it, like and follow if you're into movie reviews where we actually say what we think. So the movie is basically about a family trying to enjoy one last vacation before some life-changing news tears them apart. They get invited to a private beach that looks like paradise, only to realize time is moving insanely fast. The kids become teenagers in hours, adults grow old before their eyes, and everyone starts realizing they're going to live their entire lives in a single day. That's a great hook, and the movie wastes no time throwing you into it. What makes Old work for me isn't the science. If you spend the whole movie trying to figure out whether the aging makes perfect sense, you're probably going to have a bad time. The movie works because it forces people to deal with everything they were avoiding. The parents can't keep putting off their divorce, the kids don't get the luxury of growing up slowly, and every illness or flaw gets accelerated until nobody can ignore it anymore. That's the real horror. I also liked how unpredictable everything felt. Every time you thought you'd figured out where the story was going, something completely wild happened. The tumor growing in minutes and being removed on the beach, the rapid pregnancy that ends almost as quickly as it begins, and people aging so fast that bodies turn to dust within hours all make you realize this beach doesn't care about anyone's plans. It's unsettling because the rules stay consistent even when they get ridiculous. The biggest reason I stay invested, though, was the family, Guy, and Priska start the movie focused on separating. But once they're trapped, none of those little arguments matter anymore. Watching them slowly remember why they loved each other while also watching their children skip through decades of life in front of them is honestly the emotional core of the movie. By the time they're all together on the beach, it's surprisingly touching. Now, the movie definitely has problems. Some of the dialogue sounds like people explaining the plot instead of talking like actual human beings. There are moments where characters literally introduce themselves by saying their job, and a few performances feel awkward enough to pull you out of the tension. That's probably the biggest reason this movie became such an easy target online. And the ending, I actually like the idea more than the execution. Finding out the beach is being used by a pharmaceutical company to test medicines is a pretty bold twist. It asks a genuinely uncomfortable question. If sacrificing a handful of people could save millions, would someone actually do it? That's an interesting moral dilemma. I just wish the reveal had been a little more subtle, instead of explaining everything at once. Real talk, this is one of those movies where you have to meet it halfway. If you spend the entire runtime looking for plot holes, you'll probably hate it. But if you accept the crazy premise and focus on what it's trying to say about time, family, and how quickly life disappears, there's actually a lot to enjoy. Not every scene works, not every line lands, but the movie always has something interesting happening, and that's probably my favorite thing about Old. It takes a completely ridiculous idea and commits to it. I'd rather watch a movie with big swings that occasionally misses than something safe that I forget 5 minutes later. This movie isn't perfect, but it's memorable, and honestly that's becoming pretty rare. So yeah, for me, Old gets a solid 7 out of 10. Not because everything works, because it definitely doesn't, but because I had a genuinely good time watching it. If it's streaming somewhere, I'd say give it a shot. Just go in expecting a weird thriller instead of a perfectly polished one. That's my review. Have you seen Old? Did the ending work for you, or did it completely lose you? Let me know.